The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you, and a happy good morning to everybody. That's right, Duck Insider is officially a morning show today because we've got to travel. The Ducks are currently getting ready to practice. If you're live with us at 8:30, thanks for joining us on the Facebook live stream, YouTube live stream. Maybe you're on the Twitter live stream today. Thanks for being with us for our early morning edition. If you're tuning in on one of our Oregon Sports Network affiliate stations or at the normal time, well, also thanks for doing that. Maybe on the Oregon Sports Network podcast. This is going to be a full preview of Oregon-Ohio State. The voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels, will join us in just a little while. Excuse me, we're going to hear from a number of Duck student athletes: Anthony Brown, Jordan Happel, Bennett Williams, George Moore, Micah Pittman, and Brandon Dorless if we have time, because we have a lot of previewing to do for Oregon-Ohio State. This is a great matchup, a top 15 matchup, 9 a.m. kickoff on Fox on Saturday, 7 a.m. pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network. The important takeaways here is that because it's a morning show, I am heavily caffeinated, so you're probably going to get, I don't know, is it going to be a different Joey today? Scott Phillips and Mitchell Lee are also here with me, so we'll find out how things go. The schedule ahead: the Ducks with a mental sweat day in Eugene today at Autzen Stadium. Then Oregon traveling to Columbus, Ohio, Thursday afternoon. They will practice at a practice facility in Ohio on Friday. And then actually we will be setting up the broadcast booth when you hear tomorrow's Duck Insider. Jerry Jorge and I actually made our picks yesterday, and we have that show coming your way tomorrow at your regularly scheduled time if you watch the show or if you listen to the show wherever you tune in for Duck Insider. If you ever want more information, goducks.com/Duck Insider or goducks.com/OSN. It also is the first day of school around the Eugene area. Yesterday was the first day of school in the Bethel and Springfield school district. So everybody who's tuning in and going back to school, it's that time. You know what back to school really means, though? Football season. And it's a big football game this weekend. Let's begin today hearing from Anthony Brown. The Duck quarterback met with the media this week. Some of his thoughts heading into the matchup with Ohio State, and he reviewed what he liked, didn't like in the game against Fresno State, which Mario Cristobal called solid. He said on the Oregon Football Coaches Show last night with Jerry and Jorge that there were two decisions in the passing game and two decisions in the running game that Anthony Brown would like back. That's in about 75 gradable plays, Coach Cristobal said. Not bad, huh? Pretty good ratio, if you ask me. Pretty good grade. Had Anthony Brown grade himself. He talked to the media this week.
You played at Clemson when you were at Boston College. You dealt with loud places. That is obviously out there. That's about as similar in terms of the size and noise that anybody here has dealt with outside of Bennett who played there. How do you try to prepare guys who just haven't been in an environment that hostile with that many people?
I would say it's hard to mentally prepare somebody for something that they haven't been physically. So just getting them to focus on every reps and just getting guys to focus and stuff and not pay attention to everything around them and really focus on what they're doing in the moment. So yeah.
How much of a challenge is that at you naturally at quarterback, just because cadence, silent counts, all those sorts of things that come with it and mid-noise?
Naturally, it should be technically it should be hard, but when you're focused on your reps or whatever your assignment is, you should be locked into whatever you're doing.
Anthony, just naturally as a quarterback, you're going to be critical of yourself. What did you feel like you did well out there when you were looking at the film from Saturday?
Made some quick decisions, but some of the decisions I could have hung on a little bit, and yeah, that was really it.
What have you seen from their secondary, in particular the outside corners? They had a couple of young guys play in place of Seven Banks and their other starter, projected starter. So just what do you see from these young guys in film from their first game that you didn't have a chance to see in the offseason? They didn't play before.
Particularly from the young guys, they're really talented. Obviously, they went to Ohio State to not just sit behind people, but really talented, really fast. They play well with their techniques and just got to get after them.
Over the course of the game against Fresno State, the running game really got going. How beneficial is that to you as a quarterback, knowing that you don't have to really shoulder the load on the offense?
It's always beneficial to have a really strong running game, especially for the pass game. But it picked up really good in the second half, and we needed it. So that was good.
At BC, you had the Ren Bandana game. This is the 20th anniversary on Saturday. What did that game, what is this day mean to you?
To me, I had a lot of close friends and stuff back at home that lost family members on 9/11. But at BC, we played a red bandana game in remembrance of Wells Crowther. And he saved, I want to say it was about 12 people from one of the towers, and he was a special person to a lot of people outside of just that day. And that day is just showing you that people are men and women for others, and just being there for somebody else. And that's really important. So
the coaches have talked a lot about for the offensive line, the value of job switching and cross training I should say, playing multiple positions and rotating guys. What's that like for you as the leader of the offense to be playing with a rotation like that?
It's interesting. You get a lot of different looks because some people play different techniques, play it different a little bit in style, and it's good to have all of them and understand who plays how a certain way and stuff like that, just to get a good feel for it.
Do you realize when in the fourth quarter, Dawson was in at left tackle? Do you notice that at all when they're rotating the offensive lines much in games?
Always got to notice it. You always got to know your personnel. And but yeah, always really see it. But it doesn't really make a difference when everybody's moving at 100 miles an hour. So
maybe a weird question, but is there any significance to the TD on the socks there?
No, I was given these socks, and I think they just had TD on it, so it might have been somebody else's.
Figured it was worth the question.
Anthony, I think I don't know if it's a trend, but I feel like I've seen it multiple times, people wearing headbands upside down. I'm wondering where does that come from?
I've been wearing my headband upside down since I was a sophomore in high school, so that really wasn't really a trend. It was just something I did. It felt more comfortable to me.
Sure. And then just kind of talking about what you like doing, big game on Saturday. What do you like to do to get ready for a game, on Saturdays?
Just do what I do. Listen to my music, watch whatever I watch, and just stay to my own process. So.
Does it change at all for a road game, especially when it's an early kick?
No, I'm pretty used to the early kicks. Played a lot of early games at BC, so should be used to it.
There's Anthony Brown, the Duck quarterback, talking with the media this week. Yeah, a lot of questions about the early game, a lot of questions about the crowd, and without fail, pretty much every Duck this week, and you're going to hear more of them today, have said, not that big of a deal. Part of why the Ducks, though, are going early is to get acclimated to that time zone so that it doesn't feel like a 9 a.m. kickoff. That's why they're traveling on a Thursday rather than a Friday. It is Thursday, which means it's time for our Throwback Thursday. Every week, Scott Phillips scours the archives, finds some old calls of Jerry and Jorgie and some old video that probably he shot or Steve Pohl shot. This week, Throwback Thursday. I actually don't even know what it is. Scott's the one that put it together, so you have to put your mic on. You got to tell everybody what are we tuning in for this time.
I don't know how many people remember when Michigan came to Autzen Stadium.
All right.
And what happened.
Okay, good. Throwback Thursday this week, ladies and gentlemen.
The Oregon Ducks, a feisty flock whose habitat includes one of the loudest college football stadiums anywhere. Stephen Moore, he returned right at front. The Ducks have a shot at a touchdown. He falls down. It's picked up. It is in the end zone, fighting for it. Touchdown, Oregon. Jordan Curry.
We talked about Keith Lewis. That's his 8th career kick goal.
after and delivers them to the punter.
Oh, that's awesome. This week we got treated to Keith Jackson and Dan Fouts from the archives on the ABC call, which is pretty darn cool. Throwback Thursday when Michigan came to Autzen. That was a great non-conference matchup, and now the Ducks in one of those other non-conference matchups this week against a Big Ten opponent. Tobias asking, Joey, do you feel like the coaches kept the offense play calling fairly vanilla versus Fresno State considering the Week 2 opponent? Well, yeah, I was going to say, Scott just said it in my ear. I don't know if anybody else could hear him, but I think we'll find out a lot on Saturday. Look, I think in any game you're going to do what you have to do to win, but at the same time, you always like to have a few things left in your back pocket as you head throughout a season, right? So, Tobias, I am not an X's and O's expert. I am also not a guy who has asked that question to the coaches, but I think we'll find out on Saturday. When we come back, Paul Keels, the voice of the Buckeyes, will join us. We're going to talk about all things Ohio State, get the view from the other side of the radio network. That's right. Paul Keels will have the call on the Ohio State side of things. We're going to talk with him. Then hear from Jordan Happel and Bennett Williams when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheSkin.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheSkin.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheSkin.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you. Now it's time to get the view from the other side. I am pleased to welcome Paul Keels, who's the voice of the Buckeyes, to the program. We're going to talk a little bit about this big-time matchup. You know, ho-hum, top 20, top 15 matchup between two really good teams. Ducks, though, 0-9 all-time against Ohio State. So, Paul, I begin just first, how are things? Tell us what's the mood out there in Columbus before the Ducks head your direction.
Well, the mood, I'm sure like it was last week for you guys, is Ohio State fans are anxious to attend a game in person. You know, last year they only had 3 home games, only 2 of them where they could have family members of players and coaches. So there's a lot of excitement about things like attending the game, things like tailgating, the band being on the field to perform, having all of the pregame stuff. And then the fact that, you know, they're coming off a season-opening win and the expectations are as high as they always are. That's kind of the buzz around here right now.
What'd you learn from Game 1 against Minnesota? Getting a nice victory, what'd you learn?
Well, a few things. Number one, that Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are still the game-changing, game-breaking type of receivers that they've shown to be. That C.J. Stroud needed a half to grow a little bit into things at quarterback, and then the second half showed why Ryan Day and the staff decided on him as a starter. We learned that they've got a deep running back group, and also learned that it's a defensive side of the football where they still have a lot of room to grow with a lot of new players and young players playing in roles they've not been in before.
C.J. Stroud is a guy that was recruited by Oregon. Mario Cristobal talked about that this week. You mentioned his growth throughout that game. What's the ceiling for C.J. Stroud? How good of a quarterback is he?
Well, there's a lot of ceiling, and we're all anxious to find out how good he can be. You know, last year, because of the reduced schedule, he didn't get the backup reps, nor did Jack Miller, that normally occurs with a normal non-conference season. He didn't, and neither one of them had attempted a pass during the shortened season last year. But what we've seen is a guy that, based on last week in Minnesota, as well as whatever you can take from the spring game, he certainly has the ability to be a trigger man in a passing attack that's got some dangerous weapons. We seem to think that he's a guy that can provide a rushing threat when needed to be. He had a 40-some-yard touchdown run last year against Michigan State. But he's a guy that seems to, based on one game, have a real firm grasp on. He's got an experienced offensive line in front of him. He's got talented tailbacks and talented receivers and a proven tight end. Those are weapons that he can use to kind of help him continue to grow in.
Paul Keels, voice of the Buckeyes, joining us. Paul, you mentioned those weapons at wide receiver, two of the more talented guys in the country. Where do these guys in Olave and Wilson rank in terms of some of the great players you guys have had at Ohio State? How good is this wide receiver core?
I think when you combine the two of them together, it might be the best duo they've had together in a long, long while. Funny to think that Chris Olave a few years ago really got his opportunity because another player was injured, suffered a season-ending injury, Austin Mack. Garrett Wilson was a guy that came in very highly regarded and was able to take advantage of the opportunity to get on the field right away. But just seeing the plays that they've made over the last few years makes it easy to say that they're probably one of the most explosive duos of receivers that Ohio State's ever had together.
They're garnering a lot of attention, Paul. I mean, heading into the season, is that the expectation? Is that what the Buckeye staff wants to see, is just a really potent passing attack, or is this a more balanced offense? What's your take?
Well, they'd like to be balanced, but certainly they know that they want to take advantage of the weapons they have. And it's not just the two of them at receivers. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a young man who got some sniffs last year along with Julian Fleming to show what they could do. They've got a couple of very talented freshmen in Emeka Ibuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. They know what they can be, but also it's a team that is going to put their emphasis on running the football when need be. And you've got a returning player in Master Teague who's a known commodity. But Mayan Williams, Marcus Crowley, and Travion Henderson certainly are guys, younger players who haven't played as much as Teague, but in small doses, they've shown that they have the ability to be quality running backs.
A program with the tradition of Ohio State, I feel like I know the answer to this question. Paul, what was the expectation when the season began? What's the expectation for this team? Is it national championship? Is that the hope?
Well, the expectation always starts with Big Ten championship and then getting into the playoffs. Certainly the fact that they were able to get to the championship game last year, the season before being the semis. And it's a program that in the last 25 years has won a couple of national championships. So the expectation to be able to compete nationally and get into the playoff picture is always there. I think people understood, too, though, Joey, that this was a team that, because of all of the experience they lost on defense, especially at linebacker and in the secondary, that there was going to need to be a little buildup of momentum and the opportunity for these players to further develop that wasn't there in a shortened season last year. So the expectation is for them to compete at a national level. And that's what the BCS previously and the playoff format now has kind of created for a lot of these teams.
You hit on what was my next question. We talk so much about the offense. I think fans generally are going to gravitate toward the offense scoring points. Tell us about the defense. What do you expect this year? Who are some standouts that Duck fans need to know?
Well, the defense is one that is in transition, really, when you consider who they lost. But, somebody to keep an eye on is Haskell Garrett. He's a senior that came back as a super senior this year. He had his second collegiate defensive touchdown last week against Minnesota, but a young man that's had an amazing journey. This time last year, he was covering from a gunshot wound, but still was able to play well enough to be an all-conference player. And the defensive line has been a strong suit for Ohio State's defense for a few years now. Zach Harrison, Antoine Jackson, Tyreek Smith, they're players that really you can kind of lean on. The linebacker group is one that's very much in flux. Taraja Mitchell is a senior who's played a lot as a backup and as a special teams player, but there's some newer names such as Cody Simon, Tommy Eichenberg, and Ronnie Hickman who've started to emerge a little bit. And in the secondary, we're all anxious to see because the two projected starting cornerbacks did not play last week. Sevyn Banks and Cameron Brown. We're anxious to see if they'll be able to get out there and play. There have been some others that have started to emerge. Denzel Burke, a freshman out of Scottsdale, Arizona, who started last week. Lathan Ransom, who came on late in the year last year. And Josh Proctor, who suffered an injury last week, so his status unknown at this time. But those are kind of the people that, from a defensive standpoint, Ohio State you would guess would be leaning on.
Yeah, I'm curious. There's a lot of parallels with, of course, a few secondary potential starters coming back for Oregon. Each team might have some reinforcements. We'll find out. I'm always curious about this, Paul. As Paul Keels joins us, voice of Ohio State. He'll have the call on the Ohio State side of things on their radio network. What's the Buckeye fan base view of Oregon? I mean, when Oregon comes up and Oregon is on the schedule, of course, these teams have met in a national championship game. What is the view of Oregon from the Ohio State fan base?
Well, there certainly is a great reference point from that championship game, as well as the 2010 Rose Bowl. They know that it's an Oregon team that will bring speed and athleticism. I think there's a curiosity to see if what Coach Cristobal has done has gotten them to a physical level that can compare with what Big Ten teams have. But I think also there's a great deal of respect, understanding, dating all the way back to what Mike Bellotti did, just that Oregon has become a competitive program that challenges for the Pac-12 championship. And the other part of it too, Joey, is there's a lot of Ohio State fans who were disappointed last year's game didn't play. A lot of Ohio State fans love to travel. They make great appearances at road places. I know a handful of years ago when they played Washington and Seattle, there were about 10,000 Ohio State fans at Husky Stadium. So that's probably the one thing that comes to mind, is the fact that so many fans were disappointed not to be able to make that trip, but also not to be able to see Ohio State play in a place that it just doesn't happen on a regular basis to play at a place like that.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things I think that we get to all experience as broadcasters following along with these teams and the fans that do it, to go into all these different environments. So if memory serves, Paul, I think it's 2032 is when we'll see you guys at Autzen or something like that, with how far out we're scheduling these days now?
Something like that. And, both athletic directors deserve a lot of credit for trying to make that work. I know Ohio State also was able to pencil in Bowling Green was one of the games they lost last year. They were able to get them set somewhere down the road. But, next year, Ohio State starts a home with Notre Dame. Texas comes back on the schedule. They've managed to get Alabama on a regular season schedule somewhere down on the road. Who knows if we'll all be working at that point, but some of us may be off into retirement or things like that. But, that's kind of the crazy thing about college football, how far out it is. And it also creates a lot of the skeptical curiosity about what this alliance is going to be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Couple final thoughts for Paul Keels, voice of Ohio State. You touched on fans just getting excited and getting back into Ohio Stadium. What do you expect the environment to be like, Paul? I mean, what sort of an environment are the Ducks walking into this Saturday?
I think it's going to be as crazy as it's ever been, just because of the fact, Joey, that fans couldn't attend games last year. A game at Ohio Stadium is really a special experience, from when the band comes on the field and they perform Script Ohio, when the team comes out of the Southeast Tunnel and onto the field, when big plays are made. It's, the last game that they had a full house, I believe it was a home game against Penn State, one of the loudest settings in many, many years. And also add the tailgating and everything that goes on around the stadium, the skull session they have at St. John Arena with a band performing, and usually one or some of the coaches and some of the players may speak to the fans that are in attendance of that. Not unlike what I'm sure goes on in Eugene. But it's a spectacle both in the stadium and outside of the stadium.
Keys to the victory for Ohio State. What's it take for the Buckeyes to knock off the Ducks this weekend, Paul?
Well, probably be able to improve what they did defensively, being able to get off the field on third down. Minnesota with Mohamed Ibrahim, who's an incredibly talented running back, and unfortunately he's out for the year now with an injury. They were able to do some things that we'd not seen done to Ohio State in recent times, with some of the conversions, some of the explosive plays they had. But if Ohio State can do that, if they can, continue to put pressure, easier said than done, on Anthony Brown and the Oregon offense, that certainly helps their opportunity. The other thing, Joey, would be if they can establish the run and those running backs can play the way they did last week, and they can continue to have the explosive plays. I mean, Ohio State averaged better than 10 yards per play on all of their offensive plays. Now, they only had about 45 of them last week. But if they can continue to operate at that pace and not have any turnover issues, they had an interception last week. If they can avoid that kind of a problem, then certainly that bodes well for Ohio State.
A lot of similar keys for the Ducks that we've been thinking about here in Eugene. Paul Keels, voice of the Buckeyes. Hey, Paul, thanks for so much for taking the time. Looking forward to meeting you in person on Saturday, and best of luck on the broadcast.
Sounds good, Joey. Take care.
All right, when we come back after this, so we've got a lot more to zero in on with this game, because we're going to hear from some student athletes for the Ducks next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, football is back! So consider this your official excuse for always putting football watching first, courtesy of Pepsi. That haircut appointment? Seeing the in-laws for the first time in ages?
It's been so long!
Nope, sorry Susan, not if it's on Sunday. Long story short, after the year we've all had, we think you could use a little football watching. So crack open a Pepsi and cheer your football watching face off. With love, Pepsi. Made for football watching. That's what I like.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s, like go back to college, learn to skateboard. Whoa. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. At aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a free 3-minute chat with the friendly digital retirement coach, Avo, and receive personalized tips to help boost your savings. Start chatting with Avo today at aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam! Ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you inside the Country Financial Studio, continuing to preview the 9 a.m. kickoff on Saturday between Oregon and Ohio State. Going to hear from a number of student athletes that we got a chance to catch up with this week. First, let's start with a Oregonian himself in Jordan Happel. This is going to be a fun matchup for Jordan Happel to play in. And I'll tell you what, the Ducks secondary getting the reinforcements of DJ James and Jamal Hill, who will be available this weekend. But guys like Jordan Happel, Bennett Williams, who we're going to hear from next, they sure have filled in well, haven't they? Let's hear from Jordan Happel, some of his thoughts after Fresno State and now heading in to Ohio State.
Well, you got to play a little bit of both nickel and deep safety last week. Do you feel at this point, I know you played both so much, is there one that's more of a natural home and fit for you?
No, I mean, I worked a lot throughout at fall camp. I never played nickel before until this year, though. So, I mean, obviously, that was a new position for me. But, I mean, I got a lot of work with it at fall camp. Coach Yates, Bennett, and Jamal did a great job helping me out. So, I mean, it was a adjustment at first. But, I mean, I think I've gotten the hang of it.
Looked like a little bit more when, especially red zone or red area, mid 25 and in really. You did a little bit more deep. I know Steve was also back there, but it looked like last week at least you were doing a little bit more red zone, deep safety stuff. Just walk me through just when you have that kind of short field and you know obviously what the goal is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the goal when we're in the red zone is 3 or none. I mean, we want to keep them to as minimal points as possible. I mean, that's our goal every time we get down there is make sure they don't score any touchdowns. I mean, just anything we can do to prevent that.
What does last week's matchup where you guys took away Ronnie Rivers well on the one play, in particular in the red zone where you had that there, I don't think it was Cropper. What does that do when you're matching up against a running back group like this where they have 3 or 4 guys that they can run?
No, for sure. I mean, they have a great team and great offense. I mean, they open up the pass. We're starting out to run the ball. I mean, so obviously first and foremost, we got to stop the run. I mean, we stop the run. It'll help us know when to get into pass situations and whatnot. But I mean, everything starts with stopping the run. They have 3 really good backs, a really good O-line, tight ends, and receivers. I mean, quarterback play everywhere on their offense is really good. So, I mean, we just have to come prepare this week and just get ready.
With what they do with their receivers, in particular in the slot, I know Wilson has moved now to the X, but he was traditionally before. Ruckert at tight end, you mentioned him. What kind of challenge does that pose from a slot position where whether you're a deep safety or a nickel, that's probably who you're going to be up against?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great challenge. I mean, it's not like it's no different from any other week. I mean, we're going to go in and shut their receivers and tight ends down to the best of our ability. I mean, if we can do that, I think we'll have a great chance. I mean, they're, like everyone knows, they're a really good group from everyone, from number 1 receiver to whoever's at the bottom, the tight ends, backs, slots, wherever they are. They're a really good team. So, I mean, we'll have our hands, but I think we'll do a good job.
What do you think the communication was back there? Obviously, some new faces. Did you think that stood out, especially in the second half? It seemed like it got better.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think it was a big adjustment. Obviously, it was my first time playing on offense. It was pretty loud, but of course, the game goes on. You get used to it and whatnot. Just making sure we're communicating on the same page and no broken plays or anything like that.
What things stood out, I guess, just looking back on film, especially on the pass? Was it mostly just assignment errors? Was it guys getting beat, or kind of how did you reflect upon what you saw on film?
I think it was just consistency. Just playing in, play out, playing with effort, technique. Getting to the ball is the biggest thing. I think with explosives, they're going to happen throughout a game. Adversity is going to come. The biggest way to eliminate all that is just getting 11 people to the ball, and I think we did that a pretty good job. Obviously we had some let-ups, but
much of a test. You talk about letting up the big play. This team had 3 over 55, I think, in the past in the second half alone. What's the challenges there, and just the receivers in general? You seen players like this early? Have you faced guys this good?
I've been in college for a while, but they're a really good group that they have over there, from receivers, running backs, and tight ends. It's top of the country, but I think if we can do our jobs and just keep the ceiling on it, we'll be just fine.
A lot of people making a lot about the nearly 300 yards allowed, but you guys never got beat over the top. No ball ever went over anyone's head. Even the 39-yarder, Quez had to run all the way across the field, left to right there, and the quarterback scrambled like crazy. Was part of the game plan last week, particularly with Quez and Dante just being newer guys, to just keep the lid on and not get beat like that, and just keep the top on the coverage?
Not necessarily. As a defense, wherever you are, whoever's on the field with you, your goal is always eliminate explosives. If you can make an offense work up the field and put together long drives, I don't think a lot of offenses want to do that. So that's always our goal, is just eliminate as many explosives as possible and make them work for their yards.
The reason why I ask it is just how important, given all these guys, is not getting beat deep by a group who, like Eric just talked about, explosives is part of how they feast on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
To keep the top on in a deep safety capacity, how critical is that? You want to play, you want to be aggressive, but this is a team who can capitalize on the smallest errors or just the least amount of space.
Yeah, definitely. I think it just comes down to communication and consistency again. From everyone just playing together. We can communicate amongst ourselves, just do the right things, have right assignments, right techniques, and all that stuff. I think we'll be just fine.
So I love that. So Jordan Apple just stone cold continues with the interview while his teammates are talking to mine. I love that because we heard earlier Anthony Brown actually broke right at the beginning of his interview. He turned around and was like laughing at his teammates. It's so much fun when those guys just give each other that kind of grief. I love it. Up next, Bennett Williams, a guy who also played a number of different positions for the Ducks. And I'll tell you, Bennett is just listen to him speak, and you can just tell that he's got the leadership quality in the secondary, right? He's just calm, collected, knows exactly what it takes. And Bennett Williams also had the quote of the week. You'll hear it in this interview with Bennett Williams.
Coach Zuger was talking the other day about really respecting their play-action game. Just kind of what are the basic keys in your position for when a team can rely on that?
Yeah. They do a lot of things well. We just got to keep our eyes right, really. Eye discipline is a big thing for us this game. And then, just improving from week 1 to week 2 is really all it is.
How do you feel like you played last week, particularly in coverage? Because they didn't test you very much, and you didn't get to record a stat because of that. So just how do you feel like you ended up playing?
Yeah, I noticed that, going back and watching film, it felt like there wasn't a lot of action going on. But as far as my job, I did what I needed to do, did well in coverage because, I didn't get tested a lot, which I'll take as a compliment, as a DB. So, just looking to improve, make the plays that come my way this week.
What's it like having a brother on the opposing team, and good seeing him probably in person more than you would normally?
Yeah, that was so cool. Once a lifetime experience, getting to see that, and the family getting to see it, and everybody, being there. That was super awesome. He had a great game, so that was super cool to see. Very proud of him.
It's like now that Jamal's back. Obviously he was back last week too, but back and able to play on the weekend. And just what's that competition dynamic like now with the two of you?
Oh, it's just, both. I love when he's available and ready to go because it pushes me to be as good as I can. I'm pushing him to be as, as good as he can. And at this point, it's not competing for a spot anymore. We're going to share time regardless, and so. It's at this point, it's just preparing ourselves, both of us, to be at our best come Saturday.
In a timeshare, is that going to be situational where maybe you fit certain situations better, or is that just going to be a rep split, or do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's up to coach. Our job is really to just go out there and do our best and make take care of our business and let the coaches handle who's playing and when to sub and not.
The guy that does so well and prides himself, particularly against the run. What do you see from this running back core where, on tape last week, none of them had a lot of carries, but one has over 100 yards and like 9 carries.
Yeah.
They feel like their best running back might be the freshman who got in very late.
Right.
And obviously Teague has a lot to his credit. So.
Yeah, they had a lot of big plays last week. We saw some big guys, big running backs, a little different than what we saw last week. But so it's going to emphasize our tackling and really just making sure we wrap up, get all 11 guys to the ball. But I mean, it's just it's another team, another running back core that we feel like we can, if we do our things and do what we're supposed to do, then we can handle it and should be all right.
You guys played some great tight ends in this conference. Ruckert is right up there nationally from them. Does he compare to anybody, the UCLA's guys, Stanford's guys you guys played even last year?
Yeah, he's really solid. He's a solid tight end. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, which we notice. I'd hate to compare people, and I look at whether they're making the right plays, whether they're making mistakes that we can capitalize on. But other than that, we notice he's a good tight end. We're gonna have to be smart with our eyes, like I said earlier, and eye discipline. So. He's a good tight end. They got a lot of good players, but we feel like we have a lot of good players too. So we just it's about matchups and winning our one-on-ones.
Big matchup for you guys with some of the most talented wide receivers in the country. What's the secondary going to have to do to try to slow them down?
Player game, and like I said, eye discipline again. We don't have to put on a Superman suit for this game. We just have to play our game and do what we're supposed to do, take care of business. And if all 11 guys are doing their job, it's not just the secondary. It's up front guys getting pressure, so we don't have to sit in coverage all day. So really, it's about just doing our job and reading our keys, keeping our eyes right, and we should be all right.
What was Coach Yates saying as far as feedback-wise from the Fresno State game? What do you saw from you guys?
Yeah, obviously a lot of stuff to clean up. Didn't give up many big plays, which is a positive. But there's a lot of dink and dunk stuff that we can clean up and some zone coverage stuff that we need to work on. That's about it for that one.
Do you relish the opportunity going to a hostile environment like this, and how big is that because of how loud it's going to be from a communication perspective for you guys defensively?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this earlier. It's actually going to be probably quieter for us when defense is on the field, just as they're trying to distract our offense, and then when their offense on the field, they're trying to keep it quiet. But it's just another game, man. Really, it might feel a little bigger because it's Ohio State, but to us, we're approaching it like it's another game. So,
did you have a chance to play in Columbus while you were at Illinois?
Oh yeah. So I played there my freshman year, 9th, 10th game of the season, I believe. We weren't quite as talented as this team, But
you're one of the few guys on this team who's been in 110,000 seasons.
Yeah. Yes. So I will have that experience, going into it, which I think I can bring in as a leadership kind of role and help the guys get through that, whatever daunting it may be.
The Illabuck attitude a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
You've played in the Big Ten, though. You understand maybe what Ohio State means in that part of the country better than others. This is a big program. Do you kind of communicate some of that, or talk a bit to the team?
I mean, honestly, we let the media really handle all that. Hyping the game up. For us, like I said, it's another game, and that's how we got to treat it. The more we try and put emphasis on it, I think it'll, it will get us off of our game and psych people out. So we're playing, preparing like it's another game. We know the talent they have, and we just have to match up against it.
In terms of Wilson in particular, I know he's moved to the X now, but he had been in the slot. He's certainly capable of it. If you get matched up with him at various points in particular, just what does he pose by way of challenge as a receiver?
Yeah, him and Olave and 11 that they have, they move all those guys around. And personally, I'm studying each one as what their tendencies are, so that I guard them maybe a little differently, giving them a different look. But at the end of the day, it's a one-on-one matchup, and you gotta win it. You can do as much film study as you want, but if you get out there and you're not, locked in on your keys and eye discipline, then it's not gonna work out for you. So.
Bennett Williams, I thought the quote of the week was, hey, look, you don't have to put on a Superman jersey to play in this game and to win this game. Ducks need to be disciplined on defense, need to move the ball on offense. Some of your keys to the game. We're going to hear from some of the offensive side of the ball players when we come back. First, your Slocum Center Minute, zeroing in on shoulder arthritis actually today, which is something that our man Scott Phillips knows an awful lot about after putting a lot of cameras on his shoulders over the years. That's right. Slocum Center Minute, and then we're back hearing from more Duck student athletes next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to the Slocum Center Minute. Slocum Center Orthopedic Doctors are located here in Eugene, and they are the official orthopedic team physicians for your beloved Oregon Ducks. With me, I have Dr. Jeffrey Tooman, an orthopedic surgeon, discussing options for shoulder arthritis. What is shoulder arthritis?
All of our joints are lined by cartilage, and when that cartilage breaks down, that is what arthritis is. And it's no different in the shoulder. So our shoulder joint is lined by cartilage, and when that shoulder joint breaks down, arthritis will commonly cause pain and dysfunction. There's lots of different causes of arthritis in the shoulder. The most common cause is what we call osteoarthritis. Run-of-the-mill arthritis commonly occurs in all of our joints. Not always a known cause, unfortunately. Other causes include rheumatoid arthritis, which is what we call an inflammatory arthritis. Our body actually has too much inflammation that attacks our joints, and that's a common cause of arthritis in the shoulder as well. Another cause is patients that have chronic rotator cuff tears, or rotator cuff tears that have been there for a long period of time. And that can also cause a pretty common cause of arthritis as well. And then, of course, any traumatic injury to the shoulder, any break or fracture can cause what we call post-traumatic arthritis. So lots of different causes of arthritis. Unfortunately, we have some good treatment options for it.
That leads me to my next question then, Doctor. What are the treatment options for shoulder arthritis?
So there's a variety of treatment options. Mild arthritis, which is common, can frequently be treated without surgery. That includes changing one's activity level to some degree. Taking over-the-counter medications such as even just Aleve or ibuprofen or Tylenol can help. Not infrequently are we offering cortisone injections for shoulder arthritis. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't take away arthritis, but it can improve someone's pain and function. And then when it gets to the point where pain and dysfunction is so high, we're often talking about shoulder replacement. Shoulder replacement's a very good option for different types of shoulder arthritis and is quite successful at improving function of a patient who was dysfunctional prior and also alleviating or eliminating pain. It's a very good option, and we have the ability to talk about the different types of shoulder replacements with patients and pick the best kind of treatment option for them.
We have been talking here on the Slocum Center Minute, brought to you by the Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, the official orthopedic sports medicine team physicians for University of Oregon Athletics since 1967.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon Athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously, but as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
that a faucet running?
That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it is Duck and Signer, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Going to talk a little offensive line with George Moore now. Well, look, he's calm, cool, collected, but he's also got a great personality. Easy guy to root for. George Moore, some of his thoughts on the Fresno State game for the Ducks, and now Keys and previewing the Ohio State matchup. Here's George Moore.
So coming into this Ohio State game week, what are some of the things that you've seen on tape, and how do you think you guys are going to perform out there?
I mean, they're a physical football team. They run the ball. All 11 of them, they get to the ball. I mean, shoot, they're very well coached. They're a physical group. It's going to be the best, people we played so far, and probably all season.
So you were there in 2019 against Auburn. What can you learn from that game and that environment heading in there to Columbus and the shoe?
To just cut out the outside noise with just with our group, the people that's inside our walls every day that's here, our coaches, our players, us just staying in our inner circle, focusing on us, and just worrying about what we need to do to go up there in Columbus, get the opportunity to go win a game.
So the three running backs that Ohio State likes to feature the most, do you see a glaring discrepancy between all of them, or do you think they all have very similar skill sets?
You said running backs?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't play defense. I'm more focused on the defensive side of the ball. Right. Just worrying about those guys that they have, the backers, the safeties, all those guys and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And their defensive front with like Zach Harrison, those are talented prospects. They're in multiple big boards for the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. Is there someone out there that you are excited to go against?
I mean, all of them. Just like you say, those are top draft prospects. So just the opportunity to go against those guys with this group that I have that's around me, is a blessing. Just because you want to go out there and play against some of the best players in college football, so you want to go out there and showcase what you can do against a talent in a group like that.
What are you guys looking to get the most out of this game as an offensive group? I mean, you guys have rotated a lot recently, and you haven't really had a secure starting five. I would say the last 2 years. What are you guys looking for as a group out there?
I mean, just speaking from the O-line, we just want to go out there and, like I said, just try to showcase what we do best on, and just go out there and put it on tape. I mean, like you said, we don't know who's the starting five is, or we don't worry about that. Whatever group's out there, we just all know we got to play together. If 5 is 1, as Coach Mirabal says. So. We really don't try to worry about things like that. We just try to focus on the things that matters the most, and that's just going out there and playing, Oregon football, especially offensive line.
And kind of the same question, but regardless of the result of the game, what are we looking for, to gain as a team overall?
Well, I mean, you want to just gain trust in the guys that surround us. Going into an environment like that, you want to be able to trust every guy that's on the field, every guy that's on the sideline, everybody that's on the staff, So, I mean, I feel like just us gaining more trust in each other, the guy that's next to us, I feel like that'll be a bonus or a plus in what matters the most, and being able to just go out there and just grow as an offense and just grow as a team and, just, what I'm saying, have Anthony trust us more and being able to do all that stuff.
Last week, you guys basically explicitly ran Verdell and Dye out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys been working with the third running back this week and trying to give different looks?
Like I said, I don't know. I just know kind of our offensive game plan for the offensive line room. I don't know how they're doing it back there in the backfield, Coach Mastro and stuff, but, we're going to need all of us. Every running back, every offensive lineman, every receiver, we're going to need all of us. So I'm pretty sure that's probably what they're doing.
What have you seen from their defensive line, particularly 9, who I'm imagining a lineup on both edges? Just what have you seen from that? What do you think that matchup looked like?
I mean, he's a great player. He's a great athlete. He can move, he can run, he can bend, he can do it all. I mean, I like him as a player, just what he brings to his game. You know, that's just going to be a challenge to my game and also the rest of the offensive line. It's going to showcase what we can do. But like you said, he acts, you know, those are top guys in college football right now. So why wouldn't you want to go against the best? You know what I'm saying? You want to step up to that challenge, step up to that plate and you know, see what happens.
You love that from George Moore, don't you? Yeah, step up to the plate. Make a big-time play. That's what the Ducks are looking to do. Coming up next, going to talk a little bit with Micah Pittman as we continue to get ready for Oregon and Ohio State. It's Thursday, which means it's student-athlete interview day. We'll be back after this. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too. Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and experiences connect through conversation, and it feels good.
This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too. Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together. Start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Thanks for joining us a little bit earlier than normal today. That's right, it is a little bit earlier than normal today. We're going to spend our last segment hearing a little bit from Micah Pittman. Won't get to all of them. If you want to see the full interview, head to the Go Ducks YouTube page when we wrap up the show today. We'll post it there. Micah Pittman talking with the media and some good things to say about the Duck offense. And, well, Micah is always going to tell the truth, that's for sure. Here's Micah Pittman.
You guys probably spent the whole offseason kind of knowing this game was coming, but not focusing on it. What's it like to shift your attention fully to this one?
It's exciting. It's the reason why you came to Oregon. You know, big games like this, Ohio State's going to be a great competition. It's going to be testing to see who's going to be the guys. You know, who's willing to step up at a time. You know, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs in that game for both sides, and you got to just come prepared and be level-headed and be prepared for whatever comes your way. You know.
They were missing a couple of their corners in the first one. Does that make it tough to really, from a personnel perspective, know exactly what they offer you?
I mean, I know one of the leaders, number 7. He's a senior. He was out, but I'm expecting him to play. It's a big game, you know. I feel like if you're a really competitive guy and you really have it in you, you're going to do whatever it takes to get on that field. So whatever he's going through, I'm just making sure to be prepared for him. And I'm preparing for all the corners, and no matter who it is, really, you know. Even if it's their backup's backup, I got to find or pull out some tape. If I got to go back to high school, I'll go find them.
What is that process? You said you go back to high school. You go pull up their huddle stuff, or what do you, what do you do?
Yeah.
Is that something you do every week, though?
Yeah,
typically?
yeah. I like to know who I'm going against. I like to know their background and what they're about, if they're really a dog or if it's just a make-believe type of thing. I just post on Instagram and tell myself I'm a dog. Like, there's different things. There's levels to it. So learning the background and seeing what I'm going up against and knowing what I got to prepare for when I go against them.
What are some signs maybe the guy is a dog, like you said?
I got to be more of a dog, you know? I gotta go out there and handle business. I got to want it more. That's the thing you learn about college football. You got to want it more, period. The person lying across from you, is he really going to stop you from your dreams and your aspirations? And I look at it in that perspective, and I'm like, man, I'm going to have to work this man all day, every day, for the rest of this game, because I have dreams and aspirations to take care of my family and other people that I love. So
I know you're probably your own worst critic. You've been kicking yourself about the pass in the end zone. How close was that?
Yeah, I am my own worst critic for sure. Yeah, it is what it is, man. There's little things that could have been changed. I could have easily went for almost 200 yards. I mean, looking back on the film, but you know, things, little errors, little small mistakes, you know, I did kick myself for it, but I mean, on to the next one, you know, you got to mentally prepare yourself, like whatever it is, like I got to get over it. I felt like I could have had a better game in Fresno, I could have had more yards, more touchdowns, whatever it is, I don't really care, as long as we got that team win. And at the end of the day, we won, and that's what I'm grateful for.
What were some obstacles that kept you from getting to 200? Was it personal? Was it everything else?
No,
you don't have to point to anyone else, but I mean, just like, what took place?
There's just plays where, you know, you're just not the read, and it is what it is. But like I said, it's just opportunities will present itself, and when they present themselves, the play needs to be made. So, yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be a crazy environment. I mean, how big is it from a communication perspective for you guys offensively? Because that's probably where it's going to be the loudest.
Yeah, we're preparing ourselves for sure. We've been working a lot on preparation with the loudness of the crowd. I think they said like 110,000 or something, which is pretty cool. I haven't played in front of 110,000. That'll be fun. But yeah, I really don't. I know the plays. I know the signals. I'm not worried about the noise. I've dealt with noise pretty much my whole life going into high school. It's a different level to it, but I really don't get fazed by it. I'm not bothered by it.
How big is Coach Moorhead having him on your guys' side, knowing he has coached there before, and what kind of advantage maybe that can give you guys?
Yeah, Coach Jomo has great experience with Ohio State. I know he's dialed up some great plays against them when he was at Penn State. So I know they know Jomo's the real deal, and he can get the job done.
He definitely can get the job done, can he? We've seen that from Coach Moorhead. Ducks traveling to Columbus today. Tomorrow on Duck Insider, full preview with Jerry and Jorgie. We're going to make some Pac-12 picks, and then it's a 9 a.m. kickoff on Saturday, 7 a.m. pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. Thanks for being with us. Heard from a lot of student athletes today. My thanks to Paul Keels, voice of the Buckeyes, joining us. See you tomorrow, everybody.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org